Mother Teresa was a small woman, but she had a very big heart. Her name is known all around the world. People remember her for her kindness. She spent her life helping the poorest of the poor. She saw the face of God in every person she met. She believed that even the smallest act of love could change the world. Her story is not just about charity, it is a story of great faith. It is a story of courage in the face of immense suffering. She showed everyone what it means to live for others, to give everything you have without asking for anything in return. She became a symbol of compassion for millions. Her journey began far from the place she would call home. She was born Andrzej Goncha Boyakshiu in 1910. Her home was in Skopje, which is now the capital of North Macedonia. From a young age, she felt a strong pull towards a religious life. She was fascinated by stories of missionaries serving in faraway lands. At just 18 years old, she made a decision that would change her life forever. She decided to leave her family and her home. She traveled to Ireland to join the Sisters of Loreto. It was a difficult choice. She knew she would likely never see her mother or her sister again. This sacrifice was the first of many she would make in her long life of service. After a short time in Ireland learning English, she was sent to India. She arrived in Calcutta, a city teeming with life and immense poverty. For nearly 2 decades, she taught history and geography at St. Mary's High School for girls. She loved teaching, but she could not ignore the world outside the convent walls. The suffering she saw on the streets of Calcutta deeply affected her. She saw people dying alone, forgotten by the world. She felt a new calling, a call within a call, as she would later describe it. This was a call to leave the security of the convent and go out to serve the sick and the dying, the people no one else would touch. This new path was filled with uncertainty. Leaving the Loreto order was a monumental step. She had no money, no support, and no clear plan. All she had was her unshakable faith and a deep conviction that this was what God wanted her to do. She traded her traditional nun's habit for a simple, blue-bordered white cotton sari, the same kind worn by the poor women of Calcutta. She took a brief medical training course to learn how to care for the sick. Then, with just 5 rupees in her pocket, she walked into the slums. Her mission was simple, yet profound, to find the forgotten and make them feel loved before they died. The early days were incredibly hard. Mother Teresa was alone. She had no shelter and no food. She had to beg for supplies and for a place to stay. She started by opening a small open-air school for the children of the slums. She had no blackboard, so she used a stick to write letters in the dirt. She taught them about hygiene and gave them a place where they felt safe and cared for. She walked for hours every day, searching for the sick and the dying who were left abandoned on the streets. She would find them, clean their wounds and offer them comfort in their final moments. Her own life was a constant struggle, a test of her faith and her resolve. Her work was not always welcomed. Some people were suspicious of her motives. They questioned why this foreign woman was so interested in the city's poorest people. She faced resistance and loneliness. In her letters, she wrote about a deep darkness and a feeling of being abandoned by God. This spiritual suffering lasted for many years, yet she never allowed it to stop her work. She pushed through her own pain because she believed her mission was more important. She saw every person she helped as a representation of Christ. This belief gave her the strength to continue, day after difficult day. Slowly, people began to notice her tireless efforts. Her first helper was a former student from her teaching days at St. Mary's. Soon, other young women were inspired by her example and came to join her. They were drawn to her simple life of prayer and service. In 1950, her small group received official recognition from the Vatican. They became a new religious congregation called the Missionaries of Charity. Their mission was clear. They would take a vow to give wholehearted free service to the poorest of the poor. They would live like the people they served, owning very little and depending on divine providence for their daily needs. The first major project for the new congregation was the opening of a home for the dying. Mother Teresa found an old, abandoned Hindu temple and convinced the city officials to let her use it. She named it Nirmal Hriday, which means place of the pure heart. Here, people who were left to die on the streets could be brought in. They were bathed, given food, and treated with dignity and love. It was not a hospital to cure them, but a home where they could die in peace, surrounded by compassion. It was a powerful statement that every single life, no matter how broken or poor, had value and deserved respect. The Missionaries of Charity grew quickly. The small group of women who started with Mother Teresa became a global force for good. Their simple white and blue saris became a symbol of hope in the darkest corners of the world. The sisters opened homes for people with leprosy, a disease that caused many to be cast out from their communities. They started orphanages for abandoned children and clinics to provide basic medical care. They went wherever there was suffering, responding to famines, floods, and wars. They did not ask about a person's religion or background. They only asked if they needed help. The work was demanding. The sisters lived a life of poverty and intense prayer. Their days started early and were filled with hard labor. They cleaned sores, fed the hungry, and held the hands of the dying, yet they did it all with a sense of joy. Mother Teresa taught them that their work was not just social work, it was an expression of their love for God. She famously said, "We can do no great things, only small things with great love." This philosophy was the foundation of everything the Missionaries of Charity did. It was this spirit of loving service that attracted thousands of women to join the order over the decades. The organization expanded far beyond the borders of India. By the time of Mother Teresa's death, her mission had spread to over 100 countries. There were thousands of sisters running hundreds of homes, soup kitchens, and schools on every continent. They operated in the slums of South America, the inner cities of North America, and the war-torn regions of Africa. They became a global army of compassion, quietly working to alleviate suffering wherever they found it. The small seed planted in the streets of Calcutta had grown into a mighty tree, its branches reaching around the entire world to offer shelter and care. The impact of the Missionaries of Charity was immense. They provided care for millions of people who would have otherwise been forgotten. They gave dignity to those who had been stripped of it. They offered love to those who had never known it. Mother Teresa's vision created a network of compassion that continues to function long after her death. The organization she founded remains one of the most respected charitable groups in the world. It stands as a testament to her belief that faith, when put into action, can move mountains and bring light to the darkest of places. For her incredible work, Mother Teresa received many awards. The world began to recognize her extraordinary compassion. In 1979, she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, one of the highest honors a person can receive. But she was not interested in personal glory. When she accepted the award, she asked that the traditional banquet be cancelled. She requested that the money be given to the poor of Calcutta instead. This act showed her true character. She also received the Jewel of India, India's highest civilian award, and the United States Medal of Freedom. Each honor brought more attention to her cause and the needs of the people she served. The Catholic Church also recognized her profound holiness. People who knew her saw her as a living saint. After she passed away in 1997, the process for her canonization began. It was fast-tracked because of her widespread reputation for sanctity. The Church investigated her life and looked for miracles attributed to her intercession. 2 miracles involving the healing of sick people were officially approved. In 2016, Pope Francis declared her a saint of the Catholic Church. Saint Teresa of Calcutta, as she is now known, was officially recognized for her heroic virtue and her life of selfless love for God and for humanity. We can learn simple but powerful lessons from her life. The first lesson is to always try to help others, no matter how small the act may seem. Mother Teresa taught that you do not need to do great things to make a difference. Offering a smile, a kind word, or a moment of your time to someone in need can have a huge impact. The second lesson is to treat every person with respect. She saw the value in every individual, especially those who were ignored or rejected by society. She believed that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, just as we would want to be treated ourselves. Mother Teresa's example continues to inspire people today. She reminds us that one person can make a difference. In a world that often seems focused on wealth and power, her life points to a different way of living. It is a life based on compassion, humility, and service. She showed us the power of love in action. She proved that by caring for one another, we can make the world a better, more humane place. Her legacy is not found in the awards she won, but in the countless lives she touched and the enduring message of love she left behind for all of us to follow.